I am going to go through the final 3 portfolios for drawing sustained investigation examples. So these are portfolios that are for the drawing or 2D design section or test. And I have 3 more portfolios to show you. So let's get into it. Before I show you the images from the first portfolio, let's very quickly kind of hit what they're looking for. They're looking for an in-depth exploration, a specific visual idea, investigation. They do not want to see class projects in your sustained investigation. They do not want to see random work. They want to see something that is personal. They want to see that you explored it intensively, and you may use any medium, any style, as long as you are addressing either 2D design issues or mark making. You should grow and change and discover throughout the semester, and you need to be documenting visual evidence of thinking, research, experiments, your process, all that good stuff. All right, so the first sustained investigation I want to show you is the orange. That is the theme here. And if you look, there are their first several images. Here are their second set of images. This student scored a 4 in 2010. Let's look at the rationale. The concentration topic and the work presented are closely associated. Although the work demonstrates adequate technical competence with a range of drawing media, growth and experimentation are somewhat limited. The work exhibits some clear decision-making with regard to design solution, but generally lacks a sensitivity to space and figure-ground relationships, as in images 3, 4, 5, and 12. Generally, the work exhibits uneven levels of accomplishment, but overall is of good quality. So they're saying that in a few of them, it doesn't look like the orange is 3-dimensional. I can definitely see that in the last image. And they're also saying that there is no growth or experimentation, which also seems to be true. All right, so what did the students say in their written reflection? Oranges can be found within many classic still lifes painting as an accent or color. Artists such as Cezanne rendered the fruit with minimal brush strokes and thus simplified the many details of an orange. My concentration focused on the single subject of an orange, cut and arranged to make an interesting composition with a specific focus on the textures. By slicing and magnifying the orange, I created realistic portraits of the fruit that eventually progressed to more abstract renderings. Traditionally, the great multiplicity of the common orange's image is simplified by still life artists who use the orange as a spherical jolt of color. My concentration focused on the ignored details of an orange. Through my concentration, I learned how to portray the orange in a way that focused on the many features instead of the general appeal of the brightness of the subject. Some of my pieces were done in watercolor, which best illustrated the translucent nature of sliced orange. See images 2, 5, and 9. In my oil, pastel, and acrylic pieces, I built up the texture through such techniques as impasto to show the uneven textures of the peel. Each medium stressed different qualities found in the subject of an orange. As my pieces progressed, I became less focused on the forms of the spherical orange and more focused on the abstract shapes and textures created when an orange is dissected. All right, so a couple comments. I do feel like this is a fine reflection topic. However, I probably would not have arranged the images in the order that the student did, because as a teacher, when I hear that they became more abstract towards the end, what I hear there is you became more rushed towards the end, and that is what happened. So unlike the portfolio in the last video, where the figure became more abstracted, but it was still very detailed and still very skillful in the execution. It was the one of the girl where she had the different views of her face, and then you had like her décolletage, and it zoomed in closer and it looked more like shapes. And she did abstract the figure a little bit, but the skill level was still amazing. On this one, when they get a little bit more abstract, it actually kind of loses some skills. So that signals to me that maybe they were a little bit rushed towards the end. They ran out of time and they were just trying to get several pieces done. So as the student and as the teacher who's advising the student, I probably would have put those images in a different order to make sure that it highlighted a growth in skill instead of a decline in skill. So that's something to look out for. All right, this next topic is wrecking yard. So here we have several drawings in one style, and then the drawing at the bottom is actually in a different technique or style. And then the next slide has all drawings in that style. So this student scored a 5 in 2010. And that is still pretty accurate. You'd probably still get a 5 today. So here it says the rationale for score from the reader is the student presents a strong body of work with an engaging visual theme. The work is technically strong. Markers and colored pencils are used well to express the ideas. There is growth and transformation from early flatline drawings like images 1 and 4. In images 5 and 6, line variety and overlapping help create three-dimensional form and space. Improvement in both composition and range of values is evident from images 7 through 12. The work presents an original vision and overall is of strong quality. All right, so this student said about their work, since I was a little kid, I played at my godfather's wrecking yard. I was fascinated with exploring the wrecks. I began to think about the wrecks and how the wrecks happened. When someone crashes a car, it is violent and noisy. Dreams are demolished, people are injured and sometimes killed. My drawings made me think of broken dreams. At first, I explored my ideas using a brown marker on white paper. Then I began to get interested in the range of values and reflections on the wrecks. I used white colored pencil, an ebony pencil on toned paper, and an ebony pencil on toned paper. My brother's dream car was a silver 2001 Lincoln Town Car. It is now a wreck. I feel really close to this work since I helped rebuild this car before it was wrecked. All right, so that is a more narrative explanation for why he did what he did, but he also gets very technical in his explanation. So overall, that is a good reflection. All right, I'm gonna finish this video recording. So I'm gonna share my screen with you. And you should be able to see the next portfolio. So the title for this portfolio is Animal Apocalypse, and there are the drawings, and these look pixelated on my screen as well. There is the second set of drawings, and the score was a 6 in 2010. Now remember I said a 6 is very hard to achieve. Only 25 students out of the thousands that submitted last year, I think about 50,000, made a 6. If you make pieces that look like a 6, that means that you are already making artwork that looks professional. Look at these illustrations, they look professional. All right, so let's read the rationale for the score from the reader. So, integration of the concentration topic in the presented work is succinct and unmistakable. Art historical references in the narrative structure of the work exhibit innovation, investigation, and thoughtful, sophisticated decision making. The work is technically excellent, and the watercolor medium is effectively used to express engaging and whimsical ideas. The appropriation of themes or photographic sources clearly provides a visual reference that is uniquely transformed and placed in service of a larger personal vision. Overall, the work is outstanding and sustains a high level of conceptual and technical accomplishment. This is what the student had to say about their work. This concentration, Animal Apocalypse, is a narrative series that resembles an alternate universe where the roles of animals and humans are switched. Several are based from famous paintings, the first, fifth, and last images, but the majority of the watercolors are done from my imagination. As they progress from the first to the last, the message grows more suggestive to the viewer. Some paintings have a more lighthearted mood and all provoke a story. There were many ideas I originally had that I never ended up making because the other ideas were either stronger or easier for the viewer to be able to understand. I really enjoyed this concentration because there were many things I could do that could represent the idea of animals and people switching places. Before I began working on them, I listed the best ideas and put them in a specific order so I would be able to easily transition from one painting to the next. Some of my work, like image 11 titled Fair Game, have a much darker context than some of its earlier cousins. I did this on purpose. Once the viewer was pulled in, they would notice that the revolution of the animals became more serious as the sequence continued. All right, so my only comment on this portfolio, other than the fact that it's really incredible, is for this part right here where he talks about his process, show, don't tell. So if you can show some of your process, like if one of his images that was maybe a little bit weaker than the others, even though they're all super strong, showed, a picture of his sketchbook with the list, and then some pictures of his process kind of like collaged together in one frame, that would actually be better than him explaining his process right here. The reflection is really supposed to be you talking about your ideas behind your work. You can talk about your process here too, but there's actually a separate section for that now. All right, so the last thing I want to do on this video is share with you 2 possible resources. Isn't that a great screenshot of this lady? All right, so I have found 2 really excellent TED Talks on YouTube that I would like for you to check out. So this first one is Beatrice Coron, and she makes stories cut from paper, and that is the title of the video. So if you will, when you have time, go to YouTube and watch her video, her TED Talk, and focus on listening to how she describes her creative process and what the big idea is behind her art. And then kind of apply that to your own work. Her work is beautiful, so it should inspire you. This other one, Phil Hansen, Embrace the Shake. This is an artist who has like a disability where his hand tremors. And so I just kind of answered the first question on the slide. But I want to know, how did that happen and what did he do to transcend it? And so if the beginning of the video is a little slow, wait it out because it gets really good. And then think about how his story as an artist can inspire you, or how his work could inspire you. So both of those, the title and the artist, is on the slide. The link is also on the slide, and you can go watch those on YouTube and let me know what you think of them. All right, hope you have a wonderful day.